asswipe. No one calls anyone an asswipe in my generation.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Now, are we being ageist now?
No, we're just pointing out.
That's
the differences.
because your generation doesn't know the anatomy of the human body.
We call each other cunts. If that see there.
No, thank you. We're not
There.
that gross.
Sit there. We know anatomy.
See, there's nothing. I think calling someone a cunt is a very positive thing. You know why? That's one of the strongest organs in your body.
Oh, yeah.
It can pump out a baby.
For real.
Okay?
नमस्कार
Namaste.
नमस्कार
Vanakkam.
खुशामदी
Assalamu alaikum.
सत श्री अकाल
మీకు అందరికి వందనములు.
जय
जय श्री कृष्ण.
जय जनेन्द्रो
हमारे इस्माइल भाई बंधुओं को बोलते ही आली मदद.
मलाली मतलब बोलते सारे फीजी मतलब बोलेंगे निस्साम बलवजान हम आ गए हैं आपके प्यारे महिमा के द्वारे मैसेफ आल्टू पापा बाक्षी एवरी वॉल
I don't know about wool, but we definitely have a fool.
That's me myself
That is right. Well, that's Altu Baba Bandhujan and myself, your darling Pyari. Maybe you can call me your on-air pool. Don't bulalo, doesn't matter. P-H-O-O-L. Oh, the pool. Your darling Pyari Faltu Rani. And हमारे साथ है हमारी very own
आप सबकी फेवरेट इंटर्न प्राची.
Of course, Balajan, of course, अगर आप सोच रहे क्या होने वाला है आज मिस्ट्री है Balajan. It's totally mysterious. आज मोगली की बात होगी.
हाँ?
We're going to talk about Mougli.
Mougli. Oh,
जंगल जंगल बात चली है पता चला है चड्डी पहन के फूल खिला है ए फूल तो खिलिए ना आप चड्डी पहन के.
मैं चड्डी नहीं पहनी हूँ.
जी जल्दी जा TMI. जी
Hey, Chi, I'm not talking about that. What Chi? Did he just make an ugly joke out of it? Nonsense.
I didn't make an ugly joke. I just
Hey, तेरे को शर्म नहीं
in
आती.
general ugly father. My goodness. But anyway, Father, today we're talking about the mysterious case of Mougli.
Huh? Oh. The mysterious case of Mougli.
Mougli.
Okay, what about the Mougli fellow?
Not Mougli fellow, Father. Today we're talking about this concept itself.
अगर आप सोच रहे हैं and you're joining us for the very first time and I'm wondering what the heck
What
are we
the
talking
heck
about? Well, Banjan, on Monday mornings, Monday evenings, we
Monday
typically
evenings.
bring out something that is very, very mind-boggling or something that remains unsolved or something that a lot of people don't have answers to or something that's so unique and so hatke that you and I would possibly not have heard of it. But on Radio Dihori's हमारा वादा रहता है जितना हो सके हम उसके बारे में रिसर्च मार के आपके सामने
Yes,
पेश
we
करेंगे.
research very hardly.
हाँ.
Hardly we research.
That is right.
On Bing, we come back and search again. On Google, and then we come back and search again on Safari. So we are researching every time. The same topic.
Oh God.
Okay, Faltoni,
हाँ.
the handsome Mougli. You want to see the photograph of it?
Yeah. Well.
Oh.
Huh? What is that?
That's Mougli.
What do you mean what?
Kya?
That's a human.
She's not even watching you. She can't even see. Hello?
क्या रे?
See the screen.
That's the
Not there, Faltoni. Please look up. मुंडी उठा, आंखें आगे कर. हाँ. Where?
Acha. Oh, Mowgli.
It took you a while.
Well, what do you mean handsome face? What? That is not Mowgli. Mowgli was a little boy. Jungle Book का character.
Hey. यहीं पे तो मार खा गया इंडिया क्योंकि ठीक तरह से रिसर्च नहीं करते आप लोग. थोड़ा और स्क्रॉल करो नीचे फालतू नहीं, you can actually see what it is all about. मैं और प्राची ने बहुत डिफिकल्टी से एक पूरा स्क्रिप्ट लगाया, तुम देख पढ़ो उसको प्लीज. तुम्हारा काम पढ़ना, हमारा काम
उसने स्क्रिप्ट लिखा. उसने स्क्रिप्ट लिखा.
ओके, टाइप किया हुआ है. फाइन. नमस्ते रजाज लोकेटर जी, कैसे हैं आप? नमस्ते मीनाक्षी जी, कैसे हैं आप? एंड आज का मिस्टीरियस मंडे में आप ये सुन के आपको बहुत आई थिंक यू विल बी रियली सरप्राइज्ड बिकॉज ये कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ मिस्ट्री, मोगली का मिस्ट्री, राइट, इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पीपल नो अबाउट. या ओह, मीनाक्षी ऑलरेडी इज गोइंग ऑन फर्दर ऑन सेइंग 1859 की स्टोरी है. वाह, गूगल मार लिया आपने ऑलरेडी. वेरी गुड. गूगल मारो. लेकिन यस Falrani, this story of this particular person, gentleman there, in the thing, who actually has a smile like how I give a smile whenever somebody takes a photograph of me.
That's your smile?
Yeah. You never seen me take photographs?
Smile करना फिर, then don't. It's okay.
नहीं मैं आपकी बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, मैं अपनी बात कर रहा हूँ.
What?
जानवर जैसा स्माइल करता है.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, but actually the point is, Falrani, look at how beautifully he actually is, that innocent face. तो ये actually is an inspiration to Mougli, if you didn't know about that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
देखा, तुझे मालूम नहीं है फादर, काफी अच्छी तो मालूम नहीं, लेकिन तू समझ ही नहीं मेरी बात. मैं तो बोल रहा हूँ, अगर आपको यहाँ पे मुझे देना है साथ, कॉल कीजिएगा 4089122479.
क्या कॉल करेंगे इसके बारे में?
अरे नहीं, मतलब
That's the wrong number.
ओह, आपको क्यों रखा है यहाँ पे साथ में?
Number to call is 408-832-8881. That's 408-832-8881.
देखो, मीनाक्षी जी भी बोल रही हैं कि उन्होंने एक्चुअली कुछ चंद दिनों पहले ही उसको पढ़ा है. She read about this particular incident, right? So, but I'll tell you what, ये जो story हम लोग आज लेके आ रहे हैं, it's very mysterious because it is not just one area, right?
Yeah.
आज हम लोग बात करने वाले हैं किसके बारे में? We're talking about the incidents happened all the way in the 19th century. 1870, 1860. What do you think, Prachi ji? What do you think?
Well, it's actually 1860.
Around that time. I mean, exact date हम मालूम नहीं है.
Yeah.
But the person we saw in the photograph is a story of somebody called Dina Sanichar.
Dina Sanichar, yes.
Yeah, and he also is called the feral boy.
Yep.
राइट. एंड हाँ, ये जैसे मैंने 2 मिनट पहले बताया था, मोगली का इंस्पिरेशन जो है, कहा जाता है कि आई बिलीव दीनानाथ स्टोरी वाज एक्चुअली एन इंस्पिरेशन फॉर द जंगल बुक नैरेटिव एज वेल. राइट. तो हमने थोड़ा बहुत रिसर्च किया टू फाइंड आउट व्हाट वाज द स्टोरी ऑल अबाउट. राइट. सो ऑफ कोर्स व्हेन वी रिसर्च, एज यू नो, वी एक्चुअली डू अ इन डेप्थ फाइंडिंग एटलीस्ट 2-3 सोर्सेज ऑफ वेयर वी कैन फाइंड द स्टोरी. राइट. एंड देन वी एक्चुअली गिव आउट द स्टोरी. दो फाल्तोनी इज राइट नाउ डिस्ट्रैक्टेड, उसको भी हमने इन्वॉल्व किया था. उसको हमने जो भी हमने रिसर्च किया उसको कॉपी करके भेज देते उसको टेक्स्ट पे, ताकि वो, बिकॉज वो टेक्स्ट पे पढ़ती है, वो फोन पे कंप्यूटर पे पढ़ती नहीं है, वो इट हैज टू बी इन अ स्मॉल स्क्रीन फॉर हर टू रीड. वो हमारा कविता मॉडर्न डे के एनिमल है, क्या कर सकते हैं. राइट. What? Yeah, what? You don't think so? So give us more information about this, Prachi. What do you think?
Yeah, so this individual, Dina Sanichar, he was what is considered a feral boy, and he was found amongst hunters. Well, he was found amongst wolves in a cave in Uttar Pradesh, which is present-day Uttar Pradesh, India, around February of 1867 at the age of 6. And after he was found, he was actually sent to a mission-run orphanage. And he was given the name Dina Sanichar because he was found on a Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why Dina?
That I don't know. But yes. And it was the orphanage, the individual that was running the orphanage, he noted that he, in his own words, they said that this Dina Sanichar was quote unquote undoubtedly pagal. He still shows signs of reason, and sometimes actual shrewdness. So, you know, there was some level, I guess, of intelligence in this person. However, they completely remained stagnant in terms of growth in assimilating towards being part of like human society.
Hmm.
So no matter how, like, he never truly learned how to speak or anything. He would only like howl and make animal noises.
Oh.
Yeah. And his case was actually one of the most well known, mainly because people that are found in these situations, they don't really live long.
Oh.
Yeah.
They either, you know, get eaten by the animal itself, or they have illnesses, mainly in terms of like diseases or bone disease.
But let me tell you one thing. So the interesting about this thing, it is not a one-off case.
No.
There have been many cases.
Many
We started off with
cases.
Dina Sinicher's case right now, but let me tell you one thing. Kipling ka novel jo hai Jungle Book. It actually is about a story Mougli, right?
Mowgli, yes.
That's why I started off with Mougli, because Mougli ka story jo hai about some boy abandoned by the parents and he's raised by a pack of wolves,
Yup.
right? And then he has Bagheera and everybody with him, right?
Baloo,
Now,
Baloo.
it became very famous. Disney caught on to it. Disney made a lot of money on it, and we all have read this happy story. Where all the bare necessities, the simple.
bare necessities.
And in Mowgli's story also, we talk about Mowgli trying to also come back into real life, come back into human life.
They
But
they make it look very simple, but
They made it very simple, but the
yeah.
fact is he goes back into the jungle. He doesn't.
he does, yeah.
They-
He doesn't fit in.
doesn't
with
fit in.
Doesn't,
So the
no.
thing is, in contrast to the famous Kipling story, many people didn't know about the fact that this was actually adaptation from probably a real life. Probably
Yes.
it's a very tragic thing which happened with Dina, right?
Yeah.
Go on, you were saying something?
So the mystery today that we are trying to uncover is how there are actual human beings. I mean, you know, it seems very romantic and everything. If you actually think about it, I used to really envision life as so awesome being Mowgli.
Really?
Yeah, I used to think not a care in the world. You play around with the bears, and then you know you have no fear of the animals.
Yeah.
And then only thing is you have Kaa, but then you also have Bagheera, and
Yeah, Shere Khan.
but Shere Khan, yeah, but you have Baloo,
Baloo.
and you know I used to think that you know there's also like you know good animals, and you have a relationship with the animals. You don't have to worry about money. You don't have to worry about how you look, how you dress, anything, right? Like you basically are eating fruits and berries and stuff that are there in the tree, bananas and jackfruit and all
bugs.
that stuff. Ugh,
What
not bugs.
Baloo does?
Baloo does, but Mowgli doesn't.
He tries.
But speaking of which, okay, so
it looked very romantic, right? To an extent, you know, for a child, when you see it as a funny comic and you're like, oh, it's so cute.
Yeah.
But really, is that really possible? Can somebody actually be born in the wild and be raised by animals, be surrounded by animals? What kind of a life would they lead? And when what do you call them? You call them feral?
Feral children.
Feral children. What does that actually mean, feral children?
Wild children.
Wild. So let me tell you one thing. So he did not lead his entire life in the forest. So he was born there. They discovered him after 5 or 6 years, where he's been surviving in the wild with the
Yes.
wolves.
Yes.
So Dina Sanichar, before they got him a name and everything, right?
Yeah.
Like how Prachi rightly said, he was called Sanichar because he's found on Saturday.
Yeah.
Some hunters, they found him in a particular cave in Uttar Pradesh,
Yes.
lying and sleeping with the wolves and
Wolves,
everything,
yes.
right? So yeah, he was sleeping with the wolves and everything. So when they got him out, they gave him to a missionary orphanage
Yep.
where they tried to train him on all that he probably would not have learnt because as a normal child, right? So what they realized is he did not learn any of those things.
He didn't.
He stayed away from it, and he was to the point of even eating. He only preferred to eat raw meat.
He would eat raw meat, and he would sharpen his teeth with like bones.
Yeah.
And he would walk on all fours like an animal, and he would make
Oh,
animal
he
noise.
wouldn't be.
He would
wasn't able
never.
to-
He would
was
never
not-
straighten up. He could not
No.
straighten up at all.
Oh
Right?
wow!
Yeah, and he kind of remained seriously impaired his entire life because of that.
So, but then did he stay in the missionary, and did he stay in city? I mean, you know, whatever village or city or town confines.
So it's said that he did, and however, it's really interesting. The only like humanly habit he did pick up was smoking. He picked up the habit of smoking.
Oh, God.
Nothing else.
Mhm.
And there are, if you look online, there are some photos of him trying to wear clothes, but you can see that he just looks really uncomfortable in them. But yeah, he picked up the
Do
habit.
we have photos of him?
Yes, we do.
We have very few photos.
Very
18th, 19th century, they would not have had the
No.
resources to take photographs, right?
No.
So I think when the
like
British, journalists, they did some story about him. They have a few photographs, which I just showed you a few of them. One with the missionary and one with him
Yeah.
just staring at the camera, right?
Uh-huh.
Go on.
Yeah.
So he was at the missionary orphanage called Sikandar Mission Orphanage.
Yes.
Acha.
Yeah.
Yes.
Over
And
there, they also
yeah.
called him a different name. They called him Wolf Boy.
Bhediye.
Bhedia.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
yeah, so it's it's really interesting. Like, the only human habit you pick up is smoking.
Mm.
Like, what? That's just really random.
But it just talks about how pervasive that must have been around
Oh
him.
yeah,
That for him to pick up something like that.
something
Right?
like that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that is what's considered, like, his story may have been like the inspiration for Mowgli, but actually another thing, so all the smoking that he did pick up, it ended up giving him TB. He got tuberculosis.
Oh.
And he eventually did die at, I think, the age of like 34.
Oh, he lived till the age of 34.
Yeah.
And how old was he when he was brought out of the jungle?
So he was found at the age of 6 in February of 1867. So he was 6 at that time, and he lived for about 20 years amongst humans.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying that he never picked up human habits except smoking.
Like, look at how uncomfortable he looks just in clothes. He's
They
just
tried.
like-
They tried their best
They
to get
tried.
him.
They
He
tried
would-
to get him to talk.
Yeah.
They tried to get him to wear clothes, walk on 2 feet, but he just couldn't.
Mm.
oh wow.
So he
Yeah.
said he used to be he never gave up this particular thing. Like, you know how animals, when before they eat, they would just sniff
Yeah,
in the food.
yeah.
If it's not nice, they like the smell, just throw it away. That's
Yeah.
exactly what he used to do with food. He never would eat until it was raw.
He wouldn't eat it until it was raw, and he wouldn't use his hands either. He
Yeah.
would just face first.
Yeah. Interesting.
But
that's
were
what-
they ever able to discern as to how he ended up in the jungle? And
That's a mystery, right? Nobody
That's-
knows
yeah,
about
no
why
one
and
knows
how what
how.
happened. Now, here's the thing. So the story of Mowgli and this particular Dina Shanichar, his name is, sorry.
yeah.
So he, this is Mowgli's story. Now, again, as you know, Faltani and me are big followers of folklore, right? Folklore mein kya hota hai? There are multiple stories across cross-culture universal stories talking about similar kind of situations. But first, let's talk about Dina and what he ended up at, right? You want to continue and tell how he ended up, what his life ended as?
Yeah, so he, even though he did like end up picking up those habits, he was, the people in the missionary, they really tried to like assimilate him into human society. Obviously they failed. But since his lifespan wasn't really that long, there isn't a lot to like say about him besides the obvious, like, you know, he never really walked on 2 feet. He would always eat raw foods, and like you mentioned, he would sniff his food before he ate it, just like animals did. And he actually also wasn't the only person, like, he wasn't the only person to be found in this, like, you know, in this state. Around that time, actually, in the late 19th century, there were a lot of other children that were being found in different regions of India that were like feral children. And like another example, the following year, a child had a great appetite for frogs, and they would just, I guess, eat a bunch of frogs.
Wow.
Yeah.
But they were found in the.
They were found in some I don't remember, I don't know how to say the name of the area where they were found at the time, but in current day it's Samastipur district of Bihar in India. So
See, the interesting part is over here. Now, first of all, how did the child, you rightly asked the question, why did they end up there?
Yeah.
What happened? What was the reason for them to finally end up in the jungle, right?
Yeah.
There was a time when people used to leave the babies in the temples, if you remember. right? Then what happened? We had a lot of people living in the forest as is. They call them Adivasis or whatever it is, right? And there used to be situations where they didn't have access to a temple or something else.
Yeah.
So people end up leaving their children in the forests, right? And here's what's interesting. He was not the only wolf child living in Sikandar mission.
Have you heard of the leopard child?
Wait, first of all, wolf child ki baat. See, we say bhediya, wild beast, wilder, all those. We give all kinds of names to those beasts. Now, if we find a wolf in our midst, we stone it and we kill it.
Correct.
If we see a cougar coming here, we call the animal controller. We just start, we get scared. But the thing is, look at the animal life, how those animals were able to provide for the baby, which was a human baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
There's
interesting.
one more story of another, not in here, but this is actually a story of a person, and he is Marcos Rodriguez. Marcos Rodriguez Pantoja is his name.
Pantoja.
And he is currently what they have recorded as the only person who's been living who actually was abandoned in the forest for 2 to 3 years.
Oh.
Wow.
And he recounts very clearly what exactly happened at the time. He supposedly was playing with the wolf cubs. And he's been playing when he remembers it distinctly because he was 5 years old when he was left in the thing or something like that, less than 5 years old. He remembers, he has good memory of that. So what he recounts is when he was playing with the wolf cubs, they were playing, right? Wolf cubs are cubs, right? They were playing, and then he slept off with them, I believe, because obviously wolf cubs, they play puppies, they play, they get tired and sleep, right?
Yeah.
When he woke up, I believe that's when he realized that the mom wolves had come over there, and they were feeding the other wolf, other puppies, and when he also got the feed.
Oh.
Wow. Meaning
Aw.
she fed him too.
She fed him too. That's true.
Aw.
And that was interesting that's when he was considered to be part of it, and he grew up in the place. So initially, he kind of they say that when the meat was dropped in for the puppies,
Cubs.
right?
Yeah.
He tried to pick it up, I believe, to eat.
Oh.
Probably he was hungry. He didn't know, he was a kiddo, right? He didn't know whether it was cooked, not cooked, right?
Yeah.
So then they gave a growl. The mother was growling, so he backed up, it seems.
Oh.
After the pups had their fill,
Then he ate.
then he was allowed to eat.
Oh. So she still gave priority.
She still gave priority to the other child also after her child was given, eaten. So basically, what I'm saying is, it's about scarcity, right?
Yeah.
Animals understand that it's not all for yourself. They will eat for their fill and they give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll eat more than what they require, but that's the thing, right? And he accounts and he remembers all these things because he's still alive. They actually did a documentary on him.
Yeah,
If you
he's
want to look up,
77.
yes, he is alive and he accounts of it, and he actually is a big proponent of wildlife preservation.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
Because he is one of those people who has benefited from it, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I believe the way he knew that he was able to eat that is because the mother pushed the meat from with her nose towards him, like literally, like ha.
Yeah.
See, because wolves don't use fingers, right, to point. So
Yeah.
similarly, Dinanath, one more thing what they say is Dinanath, because he was grown, he could not use his fingers at all.
Yeah.
Dina was not able to use his fingers, and though he learned a lot of human traits, he could never speak.
No.
But he could understand based on what the missionaries had told him. So he was able to probably just follow through and everything, but he could not stand up straight. He would sit like a dog, like a thing, like how they showed the photograph, right? And that was the thing. But interesting over here to talk about is the mystery behind what we think is wild animals. They have more compassion than us.
Well,
एक बच्चा यहाँ पे आके हमारे पास रोएगा, we'll say, we throw them out, saying that street urchins, move.
well, while we're talking about wolf children, okay, these are two men that you've talked about who've had experiences with wolves, right? There was a girl called the Lobo Wolf Girl around the same time as Dina Sanicher, or a little before that.
Correct. Yeah.
And this was in Mexico, and she was sighted. How they sighted was in 1845. They found a pack of wolves actually attacking a herd of goats. And among the pack of wolves that were running away after attacking the herd was a girl on all fours.
What the?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
She and then a year later, apparently somebody recognized her again, where she was eating a goat with wolves.
Oh.
with the wolves around her. She was captured, but she escaped in 1852.
Oh.
Mm.
So she went back into the
Yeah,
wild.
she went back into the wild, and then again there was another. Nobody could find her. There was another sighting of her where she was apparently suckling two wolf cubs.
Eh?
Yeah. But again she ran away into the woods when she sighted humans, and she took the cubs and she ran.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but then she's never been seen again after that.
And we call wolf as feral. So, irony?
Yeah, and no, but what I'm saying is, she was suckling wolf cubs, meaning she.
Yeah, she was providing for the wolf cubs as
Yeah.
part of the. So, did you know about one of the things about the wolf? Wolf and hyena both.
Yeah.
They have a system where it doesn't matter. It might be your own cub, but even for the matter, lions also for the matter, they actually make sure all the females in the thing. There be one female. Female is the alpha there, right?
Right.
In wolves, female is the alpha. There's no male alpha. As such.
Really?
Yeah, there's only they mate for life, and that's only one. Nobody else will.
They mate for life.
As in, yeah, until the next alpha comes in and they get so. And the female's job is to make sure all the cubs in the whole thing are fed, cared for.
Oh.
That's their thing. So they say, many things what we think as wolf. Why do you think even the indigenous community here they revere the wolf? Why? Because the fact that there is a lot of things to learn from the wolves: the compassion, courage, teamwork,
Yeah.
right? And also, second thing, let's not forget the fact that 15,000 years ago, man found his best friend in a wolf only. They weren't dogs before.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Wolf was a lineage which started off the whole thing. No? So there was a wolf which came in and which was later on domesticated, which went into other things and all, right? But the
Yeah.
first friend which no other animal, I would say, let me be very careful in saying this. No feline were able to connect with humans as how a canine, like a wolf, would connect with humans. So there is something to do with the compassion element which is there in these animals.
Wow.
Right? Don't you think? Because the stories actually got me thinking about it, because there was a time we were researching on this Dina Sanicher, right? Sanicher, right?
Yeah.
Just want to say one thing here, Faltani, before you can kind of, I don't mean to cut you off there, but the thing is, there were a lot of stories around the time Dina Sanicher was there, because I believe there were so many wolf babies
Yeah.
coming to the missionary.
Wow.
So the point that people started saying that it almost became like other everyday situation. Everybody reporting, this baby was in the wolf. So then there also was a talk of the fact that this probably could have been a media attempt of the missionaries, because missionaries are trying to make money.
Correct.
Oh.
Correct.
So that also could be there, but that doesn't mean it's not, because the same time as the same timeline as Dina's, right? Did you talk about Oksana Malaya,
I'm coming to that. Actually, the
Ukrainian girl? The Ukrainian girl
who was with
I
the
want to
dogs.
say with the dogs.
Yeah.
Because there they know the whole story. The parents were drunk, sleepy, alcoholic parents who kind of left her outside the house and left her there and forgot about her totally.
Oh.
Yeah, and then and she was just a baby.
Wow.
And she was when she was taken into custody by the social workers, she couldn't speak and moved around on all fours like how Dina would move around.
Oh.
Right, and then of course they did offer her therapy and a little bit of training and everything went on. She learned to speak Russian afterwards. So they were unlike the situation of what happened with Dina, because I think Oksana Malaya was not there for too long, 2-3 years maximum, 2 years, whereas Dina was very young and he spent almost around 5 or 6 years in the wilderness.
Oh wow.
With the beasts, right? So in her case, after years of therapy, she was able to learn Russian. She of course she supposedly went on and had a family also with somebody as another human, right?
Yeah.
It kind of tells you whether it is because of the whether because she was a girl, she was more able to connect with the thing, or is it because, I don't know, was it because of the boys? Boys cannot connect back to the community. I don't know.
No. So boys. Speaking of that, have you heard of Shamdev?
Oh, this is that the other Indian boy, same time almost, right?
No, 1972.
Oh, the 72.
This is about a century later. Shyam Dev karke. We're talking only about wolf boys so far, Rao Bandhujan. So let's pay attention to this, okay? See, wolf boys and wolf girls. So basically, the connection that we have there. See, the other thing also, Altu Baba, I wanted to kind of tell you ki the Oksana situation, she was found with dogs.
With dogs.
Not wolves. Dogs are still a domesticated version.
Yeah, they still
Of-
have the
yeah.
connection of the human
Yeah,
touch in it,
that
Possible.
faithfulness, and they always
Trusting
say, right,
of the trust element. Correct.
that trust
Yeah.
element, and the fact that a dog, they always say, right, you leave a cat. They found this to be true actually. When the owner dies, a cat will wait all of maybe 2 days if it's not fed, and then it starts feeding on the owner.
So you might ask me
Because
how.
it's a corpse, right? It's they starve. A dog will starve to death next to the owner.
So-
No matter what, it won't leave the owner's side.
So Prachi, you should actually ask the question. How did she said it's proven, right?
Yeah.
You must ask the question. How did it prove? What is it? How did they test it?
How did they prove this?
So in America, we have the senior citizens.
Yes.
Many of them die alone,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? They pulled up a data of all these people. If you notice, invariably, we the stereotype, right? Old lady with cats, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this data was pulled out on based of this mortality of seniors. Whenever there was a dog involved
Yeah.
in the house as a pet,
Yeah.
the dog would be at the side of the owner, and it also would have died
Yeah.
out of starvation.
Oh.
Out of starvation.
Okay.
But when it is a feline,
Oh God.
they were finding out that they were living after the owner died,
Yeah.
but they would have fed on the
Owner.
on the corpse. Yeah. So the thing is, and how do they identify that? So they know the for the time of death, so whatever happens, right? So they are able to identify that part. So they say 9 days, something like that. I don't know what some mathematics was there. There was,
Yeah.
but again, that's very debatable as to how they got that. How many days they wait for, right? Based on this study, it was not actually made like, oh, you're a person dead, put the cat inside. No, it was based on what's happening in real life. There are a lot of
Okay.
people who die on their own. The unfortunate thing is many people die
Yeah.
alone, right? Because
Yeah.
modern life, modern world brought in loneliness into us, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
most of unfortunately our seniors, they end up in other homes, or they have their own houses or apartments,
Right.
and only after their death we learn whether something happened, something
Correct.
smells funny,
Right.
Yeah.
right? That's how they got the data from. So you're right, Falcon, I agree with you on that part. Yes.
Yeah, so there's this one person. So that also possibly explains why she was able to, and
Ah.
also she was raised. See, whether you like it or not, I think she was born to human parents. She was neglected by human parents.
Yeah.
She had some exposure to humanity. When जब उसका होश संभाले types thing, right? लेकिन this particular person, I'm talking about especially the people who are raised with the wolves. श्याम देव करके एक बंदा है, and he was actually when he was 4 years old, he was discovered in a forest in India. Okay, Shyam Dev, that's what they gave him a name as. Apparently, when they found him, it obviously they guesstimate the age because they can't tell how old the thing
And,
is,
Yeah.
and
right?
Banuja, if you're wondering where you're getting these stories from, these actually are published.
Yeah,
LA Times actually published a story on Shyam Dev,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And Shyam Dev, when they found him, he was playing with wolf cubs. Again, 4 saal ka tha bachcha, and then his skin was very dark. He had really sharp teeth, apparently, long hooked fingernails, matted hair, and calluses on his palms. Matlab, he's on all fours.
Fours. Yeah.
Colors will become hard skin. That's
Yeah,
what's-
hard skin on his
Yeah.
palms, elbows, on his knees.
Knees,
ठीक
yeah.
है?
Yeah.
And he was very fond of chicken hunting and would eat mud and had a craving for blood. But he bonded with the dogs. When they brought him, they found him and they brought him. He bonded with the dogs in the farm. So eventually, they finally got him off of eating raw meat. But Shyam Dev never learned to talk.
Oh.
He never learned the language. And then he also learned some sign language. That was the maximum communication that he learned, which was sign language. In 1978, Shyam Dev was admitted to Mother Teresa's home for the destitute and dying in Lucknow. So 72 May he was found. They guesstimated that his age might be 4 5 years old, and then 1978 May, which is around 6 years from there. So maybe around 11 12, they put him into Mother Teresa's home for the destitute and dying, where he was given the name Pascal. His name was given as Pascal.
Oh yeah, because he was found between like Passover and what's the other one?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there was a reason why, because he was when they found him, he was brought into the orphanage between two holidays. I think one was Passover, and the other one was
Easter? No.
was it Christmas? I don't know.
Okay, so
yeah. So then he passed away in 1985, which was not very long, 7 years from there. He didn't last beyond the age of 18, I think. And then, but he didn't die because of, they say he didn't die because of reasons that he was raised in the wilderness or anything. He just died because, I don't know, maybe he couldn't adapt, and you know, your body
Probably.
systems are built
he's
in
still
such
young.
a way.
Even if you look at the way, what's his name? Even Dina Sanicha also died young, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he lived up to 34.
Yeah.
He lived up to 34.
Well, the person who we talked about, Marcos Rodriguez Pantoja, he actually he lived longer.
Oh yeah, he's like 77.
Yeah, I don't know if he's still alive though.
He is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, Altubaba, there's one. Abhi, we talked about wolf children, right?
Yeah, wolf and dogs you talked about.
Wolf and dogs. Imagine if he found cavemen in India. Have you heard of the case of Kamala and Amala?
Yes.
Kamala Amla, yes, I read up when I was
Yeah.
actually
Right?
reading about this
When
one.
we were
Yes.
when we were reading about this, I read about that too.
Yeah, and they were actually living also in a wolf's den, incidentally.
Yeah.
I don't know how this is happening with a lot of wolves, or maybe people
I
are.
think it was because like a lot of them would just come and like take the children, because like there were villages bordering the jungles, so I think that's
No,
why.
I don't know about whether they would. So you're saying that they probably wolves are come taking the children? Go?
I think I'm not sure. Like,
Or
how
may-
can you just end up in like a wolf's den?
Or
People,
no.
go, people. Okay, no.
Or-
Yeah.
I have a very sinister theory.
Just say it.
I think there were people who were indulging in, premarital
Yeah.
sex or
Ah,
promiscuity, and there were children that were being born that were thrown out into the wilderness.
Yeah.
And that was the best way to get rid of that.
Okay, that
they
makes
were,
sense.
and then for some reason, maybe.
And also the worst part is you're right about it, because if they throw it near a den, they would have thought probably the whole Nishan ke saath mit jayega.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I'm just that's
Could
just
be,
what I'm
yeah,
thinking.
could be. You never know. That's a mystery, right?
But I think wolves being wolves. I mean, they are the first ones because their heightened sense of scent, right?
Yeah.
Even if they were just thrown out into the jungle, they probably came and picked up and then realized that it's a living, breathing thing and didn't eat it.
Probably.
I don't
but,
know.
humans seem
No,
all.
I don't
but-
see why they would just not eat it. I mean, it's literally food at your doorstep.
Well, here's the thing. So, food at your doorstep, you say, correct, I agree with you. But have you just seen those YouTube videos of all the, in modern day, they talk about how even the lion sometimes would not kill a youngling.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if you go into fishing, Faltoni, if you do, what do you call it? It's called angling, it's called. So, fish also, you don't actually kill the young ones. You would actually take out the old ones, the bigger ones. They put back the younger ones, the smaller ones they put back.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Wow.
so it's something to do with the way it has to grow and everything. So probably, I don't know, nature has its own way of trying to preserve something. Even if, for instance, I've seen many videos, at least on 4 or 5 of them, where they show a lion, he's caught the Bambi, the small deer, and he's not killing it, he's playing with it.
Huh?
Yeah, he's playing with it.
Who's this?
A lion.
A lion.
In wilderness, in savannas, I'm talking about in the wild.
Oh wow!
Playing with it, as in it's caught him, it doesn't now let him go. Similarly, a leopard would have caught one of those gazelles, right? They call gazelles, right? The gazelles.
Gazelle.
Gazelle.
Yeah.
It's caught the gazelle to eat,
Yeah.
but he's not eating it. He's taken up on the roof, on the tree, and he's just playing with it, licking it and nursing it. I don't know. It's crazy. These are things sometimes
very
mysterious to
interesting.
notice. I know it's a Mystery Monday. We're talking about specifically
Mysteries in the animal
mysteries in the
kingdom.
animal kingdom, and also feral children ka mystery. Jo hai.
Yeah.
First of all, how did they get there? Like our father said,
Yeah.
there might be a sinister reason to it, or could be just the fact that people were blind enough to say, "Oh, ye offering hai iske liye," and let them and come, right?
Yeah.
But when they
Yeah.
come back into the thing, and by the way, ye jo hai, it is not just in one place, multiple places. In the time frame of Dina Shanichar itself, there are many things. But
Yeah.
again, we noticed that even 100 years after Dina Shanichar's discovery, there's one more which he just Shamdo.
Shamdeo.
Was there, and then we also have Rodriguez.
Kamala and Amala.
Kamala was what time? What was the time frame they were
That
discovered?
was let me see.
Kamala and Amala was in let's see, 1920, around the early 1920s. It was 1920.
Yeah, 1920.
Kamala was 8 years old and Amala was 12 years old when they were found in a wolf's den.
Yep.
Apparently, this is one of the most famous cases of feral children. Apparently, they were found by a reverend.
A clergyman.
Yeah,
Yep.
Joseph Singh, who actually hid in a tree above the cave in which these girls had been seen.
Why was he hiding?
Probably he was trying to escape the wolves.
But the thing is,
Yeah, he was trying to escape the wolves. You never know, right? You might have been
Yeah.
going through and they might have seen a. So, when apparently the wolves left the cave, he saw two figures look out of the cave. And the way he described it was that they were hideous looking.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And these girls apparently ran on all fours, and he says in no sense did they look human, except that they were, he could make out that they were
Yeah.
they had human features.
Okay.
He soon captured these girls.
Oh.
Okay. When they were first caught, the two girls were supposedly the way they slept was they would always sleep curled up together.
Ah.
Yeah, they growled at him,
Oh.
and then they tore off their clothing, and they only ate. Like, even if you put clothes on them, they would tear off their clothing.
You know, that's something I've noticed with all of these feral children. They had like an aversion to clothes. They just they preferred to roam around naked.
Yeah, because they're raised like that, right?
Yeah.
So, and then they again ate only raw meat, and they would not talk. They would only howl.
How?
Oh, like.
Yeah.
But physically, they were all deformed. Their tendons and joints in their arms and legs had become short. Had been shortened, and they had absolutely no interest in humans. They don't want to be anywhere near them. But their hearing, sight, and sense of smell were exceptionally pronounced.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amala, apparently, 1 year from the time that she was captured, and Amala was 12 years old, she died. And Kamala, although eventually Kamala was 8 when she was captured, she learned to walk upright and say a few words, but she finally died in 1929. So they were captured in 1920. 9 years from that day, she died of kidney failure at the age of 70.
But again, let me also bring one more thing to you. Mysteries की बात कर रहे हैं हम लोग. ये missionaries पे बच्चे आ रहे हैं. And this, we talked about Dina Shanichar again coming to a missionary in India. And I talked about the fact that in that particular year when he was discovered, many missionaries supposedly had it. And even in Rome, the same missionary where he was found claimed to have had at least around 4 or 5 stories in the same year itself.
Yeah.
Now, Kamala and Amala, what you shared just now, interestingly, Faltwani, though it was Reverend Singh, his orphanage. It was a missionary. It was an orphanage. The story is there, but people say, in fact, there were some scholars from Japan and France who actually went and launched a new inquiry into Amala and Kamala, right? And they tried to validate the discoveries. And they actually tried to validate the discoveries of Sergei Arolis.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they found out that they said that it actually was a hoax story.
It was a hoax. Yeah.
Really?
They called it a hoax story. So,
Yeah.
no, you're right. This is so mystery क्या है? Story है, right? And काफी जगह पे stories आ रही है. And there actually also is a photographic evidence of Kamala and
Amala.
which we don't know. It's a black and white photograph, lot blurred stuff and everything. We don't know, right? When we try to research a lot, we make sure we can find the alternative truth also, right? We got to make sure we can do both, right?
Right.
Nevertheless, ये इंडिया में हुई है Midnapur, right?
Midnapur, which is present day West Bengal.
West Bengal. So this is actually missionary. Again, what I'm getting at, Patwari, is the missionaries publicizing these stories. India mein especially, right?
Yeah.
But the fact remains that it is not just over here. We talked about something happening in Kazakhstan. We talked about something happening in Russia, right?
Yeah.
And there are more places, right?
Spain and other places. Yeah.
And though Kamala and Amala story is termed under hoax, based on the fact that based on the fact that the evidence is not supporting, right?
Yeah.
You never know; it could have happened, right? But again, in a matter of 1 year, they died. They say.
Yeah.
Yeah, they died.
There's no
pretty
postmortem.
early. They died pretty early. They never really lived to a long.
Yeah.
Because when missionaries, the one more thing I want to tell you was missionaries depend on people funding,
Yeah.
and they want to be in the name. It's a money making, whether you like it or not. Yeah, they're supposed to do good, but the fact is they also make money.
Yeah.
They want to raise money, and they'll raise money by creating
Stories like this.
not like this, stories in general.
Stories in general, yeah.
That's what they claim, that there was a lot of pushback or even on Mother Teresa because they felt that she's peddling the stories of the Indian thing, right? A lot of the people who actually talk about all those things. I'm just saying the narrative going on at that time, right?
Yeah.
She might have done a lot of good things, but they claim that it was all because the spreading the word of Christianity was important for them. And saying that if you don't spread the word of Christianity, you have wild people like this around. That's what they would say.
Oh.
Well, Alto Baba, so far we've gone 1860s was when we found Dina, right?
Yeah.
And then we came to 1920, then 1972 you talked about what is his name, Rodriguez and all those, Shamdeo we talked about. But I think one of the oldest known cases, right, is that of this lady called Marie Angelique Meme Leblanc.
Oui, oui.
She is it means the wild girl of Champagne. She was popularly known as that. And in 1731,
Oh, even older.
she was found. It is in the early 18th century, and apparently her case is very well documented. Why? Because she died eventually. When she died with a lot of riches, and she had patrons who documented her story.
Wow.
So what
Oh,
happened?
wow.
For 10 years, she walked thousands and thousands of miles alone in the forests of France.
Okay.
She ate birds, frogs,
Oh.
fish,
Oh.
leaves, branches, roots, whatever she could get her hands on. And armed with a club, apparently she fought off wild animals, especially she would fight wolves.
Ah.
Yeah. She was captured at the age of 19, completely black-skinned, hairy, and with claws.
Wow.
Wow.
And one thing that they noticed was when Memi used to kneel down to drink water, she made repeated sideways glances.
Just to the fear.
Yeah, the constant
Look out. Be on the lookout.
Yeah, result of constant alertness. She couldn't speak and only communicated with shrieks and squeaks.
Oh.
Yeah, she skinned rabbits alive and birds and ate them raw.
Oh.
And apparently for years she did not eat cooked food. So they found her at the age of 19. They captured her. That's what they say. When they captured her, her thumbs were malformed because she used to use them to dig out the roots and swing from tree to tree like a monkey.
Ah.
In 1737. Okay, at that time in 1737, the Queen of Poland, who was mother to the French Queen, and on a journey to France, took Meme hunting with her, where she still ran fast enough on all fours to hunt rabbits. Yeah, Meme's recovery from her decade-long experiences in the wild was remarkable. Okay, she had a series of rich patrons. She even learned to read, write, and speak French fluently. And in 1747, she became a nun for a while. But apparently, she got hit by a falling window Yeah, she got hit, but was hit by a falling window. And like when this happened, apparently the patron, like she had many rich patrons, people who wanted to like take her over and help her and all that. That patron died soon after that falling window hit her. And she became ill and again became destitute, meaning she didn't have anybody to take care of her, and she wasn't able to fend for herself. But again she found another rich patron. In 1755, a Madame Hackett published Meme's biography, and in that it states that Meme died financially well off, rich in Paris, at the age of 63.
63.
Oh, God
in
bless.
1775.
December 15th, 1775.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that gets you thinking. So people who actually have success stories, who actually have been socialized, successfully socialized, are the women,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the female of the species. Why is that, you should think?
Well, there was a French boy also who was found, the wild boy of Aveyron. That was also in France in 1797. It is again historical, but another surprisingly well documented fetal child story. And he was.
And this is again, Brother, please note, this actually is from the previous time. So it's actually going back in time.
Yeah.
Well, again, you can still say those are times when people would just, come up with stuff to. You never know it, but it's been documented. So as you know, unfortunately, there might have been many other undocumented sightings which we have never found out. This would have been definitely something we have researched. Mary Angelique Meme Leblanc.
Meme Leblanc.
Meme Leblanc.
And this guy, Victor, Victor, who was a wild boy of Aveyron, ये इसको 3-4 बार पकड़ा गया, लेकिन हर बार भाग के चला गया. He got away apparently. And in fact, one of the biology professors thought, okay, इसको कपड़े नहीं देंगे तो snow है तो भाग के नहीं जाएगा. Absolutely nothing. There was no impact of the snow. He didn't get frostbite, nothing.
What?
Yeah. They say that he examined his resistance to cold by sending him outside naked in the snow, but he showed no effect of the cold temperature on him whatsoever. Others tried to teach him to speak and behave normally, but he made absolutely no progress apparently. And he was probably able to talk and hear earlier in his life, but he was never able to do so after returning from the wild, and eventually he was institutionalized. And he died at the age of 40. तो ये सब हम लोग wolf children के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. We're talking about, this lady Meme was surprisingly, she seems like a cave woman, right? Like somebody who was a species in herself, figured out how to survive in the wild, the survival of the fittest. So
she lived for long. I think she was in the wild from 9 to 19, 10 years almost.
Yeah. She probably had the human instinct in her.
Yeah.
Which is why she, she fought off and she was alert all the time, and maybe that kept the brain active in the human form, and that's how she was able to pick up language and communicate
At a later time.
But one story that really fascinated me, you talked about felines and canines, right, Alto Baba? तो मैंने सोचा canines हो सकता है कि they are community, they are pack animals. Felines are loners, right? They don't they're soul. They don't actually they don't have a pack kind of thing, right? But there was a person who was the leopard. Have you heard about that?
Nope.
Yeah, there's a leopard boy.
What?
Yeah. So this is it was like a leopard boy. I think it was I'll tell you where. The leopard boy in India mein in 1912.
Oh.
This boy child was apparently, it was taken by the leopardess.
Okay.
She in 1912 she took this child when he was 2 years old.
Okay.
For whatever reason, I think maybe she planned to eat him or whatever. She took him. 3 years later, a hunter apparently killed this leopardess.
Achha.
And she found 3 cubs. One of which was the now 5-year-old boy. 3 years later.
Arey.
he was returned to his family in that small village in India. When first caught, he would only squat and run on all fours as fast as any adult man could possibly do upright.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
This boy. His knees were covered with hard calluses. His toes were bent upright almost at right angles. Right? Like the right angles to his instep. And his palms, toes, thumb pads were all covered with a rough, tough, horny skin kind of thing. And he bit and fought everybody who approached him.
Oh, my.
And even caught and ate the village fowl raw. He could not speak, was only growling and grunting.
Ah.
But of course, eventually he learned to sit up straight and he was able to walk upright. He was even able to speak apparently, but he gradually became blind from something called cataracts. And they say that this was his illness. He also died early, but his illness was not caused because of anything that he had to do in the jungle, but actually from a genetic disease that he passed away eventually. I found this really interesting because the leopard carried him away from the village.
Yeah.
And then she took care of the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing is, the mystery what we're talking about here is, you might wonder, hey, is mystery? Mystery to hai, bhai. I'm surprised. Like, people, we talk about this as, it's like, ye wildebeest hai. They are wild elements. They will eat our children, whatever. But they're not eating our children.
No, they're playing
And of course, your stories jo hai, she talked about 1600. We went back all the way to 1600, and abhi tak almost 1983 tak ek situation aaya tha. And I think recently probably we're not seeing that happen because probably there are no orphanages. People won't leave the kids in orphanage, or the people have identified in modern world in 2000 that actually there are many people who want to actually raise a child. You put it for surrogacy or whatever it is, or just give it for options, right?
Right.
But nevertheless, this story is so interesting to note that we are not the only people capable of compassion.
Yeah.
Now, that's what I'm actually getting at, saying that, this is why are we just saying that only it's the human beings capable of compassion, right?
Yeah.
Every being in this world is capable of compassion. That's what they have shown with all this. And of course, interestingly, all the stories are surrounding wolves.
Yeah. Mostly wolves, yeah.
Mostly wolves. There have been instances of bears,
Leopards.
leopard, like how you say, one-off cases.
One-off, yeah.
But most of them are from the wolf pack. It tells you a lot about it, right? And of course, which we don't know much about, unfortunately, I don't know much about the Inuit tribes over here, the indigenous tribes here. They
Yes.
claim to have lot of stories, and why they have they have this literally the spirit
Yeah.
animal is the wolf,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We live in a country which actually is run by wolves. I'm talking about the Yosemite.
Yeah.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And we know that the moment the wolf came back
Yeah.
is when we saw greenery actually in Yosemite. Otherwise, it's run over by dryness and everything, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of positives to these things to understand. And many of them also the humility, the fact that we probably don't know about nature as much as what we think we know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So it's, by the way, Banjan, there's not only one might think ki, okay, we came from monkeys, right? Or we came from the apes, the primates. Are there
Homo
any
sapiens.
are there any connections with the monkeys? There is a monkey boy story that we found who from Uganda. Okay, so he was called John Sebunia. So he was born and raised, he was born in a human home. And this is very recent, Banjana, as recent as 1988. Okay, he was 3 years old. He ran away when he saw his father murder his mother.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
He was in Uganda in Africa. And then he fled into the jungle, where he refused to return from the jungle. He lived with monkeys.
Oh.
He was captured in 1991. And at this time, this boy was about 6 years old. And he was then placed in an orphanage. When they cleaned him up, they found that his entire body was covered in hair, like the monkeys. Okay, then his diet mainly consisted of roots, nuts, sweet potatoes, cassava, and the one other thing that they found was his intestines was infested with worms.
Well, not a bad thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because for him to digest all the foliage he used to eat,
He needed a certain
there has to be those worms in the intestine.
Yeah.
to be able to
And
digest.
sometimes those worms were half a meter long.
What?
Yeah. He had calluses on his knees from walking like a monkey, apparently. And but the thing is that he eventually learned to speak and also learned the human ways.
Okay.
So he was found to have a beautiful singing voice, and apparently is famous for touring and singing in the UK with the 20-strong Pearl of Africa Children's Choir.
Oh, nice.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was part of that choir. So he was known as the Monkey Boy of Uganda, and his case was documented in 1991.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
that's pretty recent.
Yeah, yeah. And, there's many cases like this. There's also that a girl called Marina Chapman. She was from Colombia. 1959 में इसका हुआ. She was kidnapped apparently at the age of 5. In 1954 from a remote South American village. उसके बाद उसके जो kidnappers थे, they left her in the jungle. She was 5 years old. This girl is another one who is famously known as the monkey girl, because she was left with a small family of small capuchin monkeys
Oh.
for 5 years before she was finally discovered by hunters. She ate berries, roots, bananas that were dropped by the monkeys. She slept in holes in trees and walked on all fours. One time, it seems she got a really bad case of food poisoning.
Oh.
And then an elderly monkey, this is what is record. I don't know how they, maybe she shared with us later, led her to a pool of water and forced her to drink, where she vomited and began to recover.
Oh, wow.
What? A monkey.
A monkey, an elderly monkey.
Oh.
She would sit in the trees, play, and even groom with them. You know how monkeys
Oh
groom?
yeah, pick out the.
Yeah.
Well, there have been a lot of cases wherein there have been people living isolated, like how we talked about the French lady, right?
Yeah.
But this specifically are where the interactions are with the with the wild,
Yeah.
right? With the animals. For this particular monkey thing which talked about, right?
Huh.
That's, and of course, which area was this again in?
So this was in Colombia. So here's what happened. Her agony. First of all, she was kidnapped at 5, thrown into the jungle, where she fended for herself with this group of monkeys. She was then captured by hunters when she was like probably 10 years old. And then these hunters, the ordeal doesn't end there.
Oh.
People would have thought that she was rescued by the hunters. These buggers actually sold her into a brothel.
Oh my God. Okay.
But she ran away from the brothel.
Okay.
She figured how to get out of there. But she lived as a street urchin.
Oh.
Then she became a slave. She was enslaved by a mafia-style family.
Huh?
Yeah. And
So this
is
story,
Colombia.
this is story by?
It's hers, I'll tell you. So and then she was saved by a neighbor who sent her to Bogota,
Bogota.
to live with her daughter and her son-in-law. Like, they have the
Yeah.
servants ki tarah bhejte hain, right? And they apparently adopted this girl and called her Marina alongside their 5 natural children. When Marina reached her mid-teens, this was all before she reached her teenage, full-on teenage, right? She was offered a job as a housekeeper and a nanny by another family member. The family with Marina moved to Bradford, Yorkshire in the UK in 1977, where she still lives till the date this article was written.
Interesting.
She's married, has kids,
God bless.
2 kids.
and she has 2 kids, yes, and her younger daughter, Vanessa James, was the one who co-authored a book about her feral experiences and those afterwards. And she was called, as the book is titled, The Girl with No Name.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, actually, we talked about wolves, dogs, monkeys, and everything. Dogs में एक और situation है जहाँ पे रशिया में
Huh.
there was a kid called Ivan Mishokov,
Okay.
a 6-year-old boy.
Huh.
He was born in Rutov, Russia.
Uh-huh.
He was rescued by the cops in 1998.
Huh.
He rescued from by the cops in 1998.
Uh-huh.
6 years old by the time, right? And he actually lived with the dogs because he had run away from his abusive parents,
Okay.
right? So I think mother and his abusive alcoholic mother's boyfriend. So he ran away from them at the age 4. At age 4, so 2 years or 3 years, he lived on his own with these dogs. And the best part is, he talks about how he gained the trust of the dogs by giving them something to eat first, and then in return they protected him. So he lived on his own with them, and he became the alpha male of the dog pack.
Oh.
So they actually, when the authorities saw him, they caught him by actually setting up a trap with food at a restaurant, local restaurant, for him and the dogs both together.
Oh my God.
But the thing is, when he got back, his socialization was difficult, of course. But they put him in a military school in Russia, I believe, and he is serving. He actually serving in the Russian army right now.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
he's
he
a
is-
military personnel.
He's part of the Russian army. So what I'm saying is, there have been cases where people have come together. Again, you can say, oh, dogs, matlab dog probably. Wilderness nahi hoga probably, right? But again, Cold War made Russia pretty much like a lot of ruins are there, right?
Yeah.
You never know where he was, what he was. But he was with wild dogs,
Yeah.
not tame. I don't know if you guys have seen wild dogs. Wild dogs
Yeah.
are not like our stray dogs in India.
They are not.
They're
No.
not like stray dogs in India. Our stray dogs also could be called as wild dogs for sure, but
Stray dogs, I'm very scared of stray dogs. Strays in India. I mean, I don't know. If it were not for my dad, I don't think I would have ever developed a love for dogs because I used to be so afraid of them. But you never know. No, they'll come chasing you like, like rabid dogs when you go on a particular bike or something. I guess the way they would, chase after you.
but when you stop
But-
when you stop the bike and just wait there, they don't know what to do. They're confused. They go bling, bling, bling.
No, that's not true. That's not true at all. The good thing is, I mean, I don't know. I think it's also the connection that man has or compassion. I mean, my dad was known as the dog piper, I guess.
Uh-huh.
He would feed, like, everybody knew that he was in the area because all the dogs there'd be a procession of dogs behind him. No kidding, he would buy a bun for each dog every day. No matter how well he was doing financially or not, he would buy a bun for each of the dogs and feed each of the dogs. And then if one of the dogs was ill or something was wrong, he would take that dog and take it to the
Vet.
SPCA or to
Especially the flea-ridden dogs.
yeah, he would take it to the vet.
The vet over there.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, okay, so today's Mystery Mondays was actually, of course, we're talking about our connection with animals, but also how this particular thing happens. It's very mysterious. We started off with this particular gentleman who was inspiration for us to start. No, not Tarzan, please. We're talking
No.
Mowgli.
we're talking about a
Mowgli.
Mowgli, and when I say Mowgli, I'm talking about Dina Sanichar. I'll try to see if I can get a clearer picture of Dina Sanichar for you guys to
There
just take a look
is.
at
I
it.
can give it to you. One
Okay,
second.
here you go. So I already got it on screen over there. Look how
Yeah,
nice he
there
looks.
He is.
That's exactly how I look at photographs and smile.
Whatever, man.
See that?
I
Don't you think so?
I think you need to redefine smile.
Who? Dina smile?
You, because
Oh.
if that's how you smile, that's not a smile.
Hey, come on. Okay, here's the thing. We started off with him. While we're doing this curious case of Dina Sanichar, we realized it's not as curious as what it is. It's not like one-off cases.
No.
There will be multiple instances about it. Right?
Yup.
So, I think, Falrani, we're coming to the close of our show already.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this particular Mysterious Monday. We're trying to see if we can get you these kind of mysterious things to think about.
Yeah.
Yup.
Research. I'm telling you, there is a treasure trove of information out there. Information superhighway, AI Marogoli. These
Yeah.
are such interesting stuff. In fact, there's a saying, right? I used to read fiction books long time ago, and I switched to non-fiction because sometimes fact is stranger than fiction.
Huh.
Yes.
And these are stories which really boggles your mind. Like, how could this even happen? We can't even think of the fact that leaving a small child, tender child, we look at them, we feel like eating them anyways. And
You feel like eating
Eating
the
them?
child?
What?
like, you let go, like, totally.
No,
No, I'm just kidding. The point is, They are
God!
they're living in
Side
such
eye.
such uncomfortable, I wouldn't say uncomfortable, such places as wilderness, and a wild animal is able to tend to them, whatever it is. They don't have to make them as human. Of course, when they come back to human society, some of them have able to sustain and live. There is account of them even now, right? Some could not, like Dina Sanichar. Unfortunately, Dina Sanichar, though he tried to associate back, probably they didn't have the right kind of tools to in Indian the
Yeah.
missionary to get him into the socialization part. He
No.
lived in the missionary forever,
But,
for his life rather.
But although it also, I think, depends on how acclimatized or how long they spent out in the wild, and that could also possibly be one of the things that could have caused him to never be able to acclimatize. Maybe he was thrown out there as a baby, and or as an infant, and then everything in him, it depends, right? It becomes, you have heard of vestigial organs, right? Like when you don't use certain, like that person that I talked about, where the limbs became shortened, right?
Things just atrophy on their own.
So stuff like that happens, I guess. He was discovered much later, right?
Oh,
he wasn't
yeah.
he wasn't discovered within 3 years or within 2 years. He was discovered
6 years later.
yeah, 6 years later. So
Yeah.
and before that, there's no other sighting of him ever being around a human. तो तब तक वो जो developmental years बताते हैं, right? Like, there's very sad stories, Manjan. If you actually read about it, it's very shocking. In the US, in a place called Genie, they actually, the reason feral children, they talk about all of this, right, is also the socialization aspect. There was a slow, or what do you call, a developmentally disabled girl that was born, and her father put her in solitary confinement.
Ah, yes.
And he just kept a bucket for a toilet for her.
No, I
and
think,
left her.
I think I read somewhere that he strapped her to like the toilet.
Yeah,
and
he
just
strapped
left
her to it.
there.
He just left her there, and she, because he thought she was retarded, and just left her there. And she basically, these are, and she lived here for 10 years. 10 years. He just trapped her to that toilet, and he left that girl there.
My goodness, and they call them human beings.
And she even slept in that chair.
Yeah.
And in 1970, when she was 13 years old, when she finally her mother turned up with her at Children's Services. And it seems a social worker noticed her condition, and she was still not toilet trained, and moved with a strange sideways bunny walk. She couldn't walk properly, obviously being tied to that chair. She couldn't speak. She didn't learn how to speak. She couldn't make any kind of sound, and constantly spat and clawed herself. She kept self-harming. For years, apparently, they used her as a research subject.
Oh.
That's even worse.
Yeah, and she gradually learned to speak a few words, but couldn't arrange them grammatically. She also began to read small texts, and developed a limited form of social behavior. And at one stage, she briefly again lived with her mother, but then for several years, she went through several foster homes, experiencing abuse and harassment. And she returned to a children's hospital, where it was found that she had completely regressed to silence. And her treatment was funded, and research. How they were funding her treatment was through research funding.
Yeah.
And eventually in 1974, they stopped funding it. And after that, nobody knows what happened to her until a private investigator located her in a private facility and institution for underdeveloped adult children.
So this is something like, just a contrast. Well, at least in the wilderness, the feral beings we talked about, I'm talking about the wolves and the monkeys and the dogs and the bears and the leopard, they actually took more care of the children as opposed to our own human
Yeah.
beings. It just tells you how much of a evil being we are as human beings. And well, anyways, this Mystery Mondays, we're going to be bringing many more such mysteries for you guys in the future as well. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed presenting it to you guys, because when you make these shows, we do our own reading as well, and it's pretty interesting, these readings. what we do. We learn a lot about it, and I hope you enjoy. If you want to read up more, you can go and look it up. We actually will post the links for you guys on our Facebook if possible.
Right.
So you can go read up on all these things. And yes, we do not just say, this one is read out to you because we saw on Facebook. No, we actually do a little bit of research, and which involves a little bit of making sure the intern also does some research. Hey, we keep you awake at least, right? With all the jokes and all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah, we'll
guess.
actually take pictures, Panujan, and we'll tell you how she
Oh,
is,
yeah.
how she's
Uh-huh.
doing. We should
That's very important
how
next
she was
time.
doing her research.
Yeah, research study. That's
Like
research, yeah.
That was the way she was doing research.
And also-
That was the tail end of my research.
But
process.
I like the
Yeah.
way she's got an open mind. I'm sorry, open mouth. She goes,
I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna cry in my pillow tonight.
Just tonight? Oh, good. I'm glad. It's not that bad.
You guys are so.
Not me. I mean, you
she
said
called
that.
you mean, my God.
Why me?
I didn't say you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, fine, okay.
You're such a pot stirrer. Oh my god.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
No, I'm not a pastor. I'm the person who put the chonk in it. Like, just.
That's even worse.
I know, it's
No,
right.
you don't put chonk in
I
it.
put
You
chonk
put
in it.
ghee.
Yeah, you.
Or gaslight. You put
Yeah.
You know what a gaslit is?
No.
You don't know gaslit?
No man.
Oh, she was not. She's
Oh.
a Z generation. Kerosene stuff, you've seen kerosene stuff?
Maybe.
Have you ever used a kerosene
So,
stuff?
you know, stove hota hai na, wo kerosene
So kerosene
wala.
stove, actually you have to pump it up because it has to go at a certain speed for it to give the blue flame. Otherwise, it'll be only white flame.
Oh.
You
So
know,
you keep pumping it up like.
wait, you know that we saw a recent clip of it
Huh?
in Friday. Hey, not
Eh?
Friday, in Black and White Budhwar. Remember in which they show Nutan's face and
she's
she's
pumping.
pumping during
Oh,
that time.
okay,
That
okay,
thing
okay.
that she's pumping.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's the one, yes.
It-
So
it-
for the flame to glow, that's why we pump it up and we give you so much of pressure so you can actually glow. Blue color.
Wow. Kya baat
Slow
hai.
claps. Altu Baba. Well, anyway, Banjan, so this was Mystery Mondays. We hope you enjoyed it. Learned something new. And, you know, the world is full of mysteries that,
Yes.
you know, that many of us are unaware of. And our whole goal is to see कि हम लोगों को जो हमारी लाइफ है उसकी थोड़ी बहुत अप्रिसिएशन आ जाए एंड ऑल्सो थोड़ी बहुत ह्यूमिलिएशन हो कि
Humiliation.
not
थोड़ी बहुत humiliation.
humility
Oh my God, humiliation.
humility
You have to watch your words around him. He's gonna.
Humiliation.
humility हो कि we don't know everything, right? There are many questions that remain unanswered. So that's what Mystery Mondays was all
Yeah,
about.
and always challenge your thought. Don't just discount something as bad. Oh, this is wild. Doesn't mean you got to go and sit next to it, please. Just don't do anything harm. Like don't go and say, oh, it's a wild cougar. Let's go sit next to it. Don't do that. Give it space. It's not here to harm you this time because, and actually, by the way, a lot of sightings of cougars happening around here. Please be very, very careful. Right?
Right.
Anything else, Faltwani?
Cougar sighting, is that what you said? Why of cougars? Yeah, Bay Area has a lot of cougars.
Not the places where you go, Faltwani. I'm talking about hiking things. Yeah.
That was a good one. Huh?
Yes, that was a good one.
Yeah. So,
Sorry.
so Meenakshi Sharma says, amazing show as always. Interesting
thank
stories
you.
of survival. Amazing to know how many stories around the world. And then Deepa Jorapur, they're cussing you out, Altaba, because you didn't give the information about what she was typing.
Oh! What?
I don't know. She said,
What?
बाद में देख लूँगी या कुछ. Yeah.
You're
So,
in trouble.
I know.
Excuse
Well,
me, I am trouble.
yeah,
That's not a good thing.
he doesn't think so. Anyway, Banajan, how about,
Deepa ji. Deepa Rani.
well, Banajan, tomorrow is going to be a very interesting teaser.
Why?
Takedown
Why?
Tuesday,
Why?
Because some very
Bawal machega Banujan.
interesting teasers have come out.
Oh, Bawal
Yes.
teaser, heard, seen it?
Yes.
Bawal mat jayega.
It was. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that lady can't act anyways. I told you then, I'm telling you now also. Alright.
Neither of them can.
He also is too forced, right?
Yeah.
I agree with you. But it's her favorite.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
What?
she goes.
Varun Dhawan is your favorite?
Because he removes his
Varun
shirt off.
Dhawan.
He's like modern day
Not
Salman
favorite. Among
Khan. No? He removes his
Hey,
shirt
wait.
always.
Among the current crop of actors, Vicky Kaushal, I think, is a good actor.
Yeah, that's of course. Yes.
And Varun Dhawan is a good actor.
No.
I don't find Siddharth Malhotra is a one
No.
director's artist.
No.
Only certain things, certain roles he suits. Otherwise, the guy can't act for
He
nuts.
can't act for nuts or money.
Okay.
Whatever. But I think Varun Dhawan, if
If
directed properly, he does a good job.
no,
He does.
no.
Really?
Classic example
No.
is Badlapur. He's done a good
Okay,
job.
I
in
haven't
it.
seen that, but
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, he can pull off. He can make you cry. If an actor can make you laugh and make you cry, they typically are good actors. It's sad that he's not had a. Have you seen Bhedia?
No.
Yeah.
Dude, you should
I
watch
know,
Bhedia.
I
He's done a-
know. I have to.
After today's show, you must watch Pedia.
Fine, I will.
You never know. He would have been. Oh, by the way, all these people we talked about could have been Pedias.
Yeah, you never know.
Werewolves.
Yeah.
Ow!
इसी के साथ हम आपको बोलेंगे बच्चन हमारा वक्त हो चला है हमें इजाजत दीजिए इफ यू लाइक आवर शो प्लीज गिव अस दो स्टार्स ऑन फेसबुक इट डजंट कॉस्ट you much it's like
99 cents.
99 cents for 100 stars so give us as much as you can because all of this goes towards Media Mahima. It's the production company for Radio Dehotis. It's a non-profit organization. इस Saturday को please book your calendars and please come. हमारा खाओ गली जो हमारा festival होने वाला है is going to be happening this Saturday. It's $15 for all you can eat and it's $25 for all you can sing, all you can eat and all you can masti udafai.
And all you can dance.
And all you can dance. So please make sure our website for registration hopefully should be up by tomorrow.
Oh really? It'll be up, huh? Okay,
I don't
good.
know. Altu Baba is our
Huh?
tech
Me?
head.
Or you? My God! Now you're
I have
putting.
no idea.
You're springing it on me right now, Faltoni. What? I didn't know that.
No, you've been told a long time ago, Altu Baba.
Oh my God!
So if you want to register, you can go to.
Ow!
Where will they register, by the way? Pragnya or?
I have no idea,
Well,
Faltoni.
either ways,
you're
mark
announcing
your
it-
calendars, Banujan. It is 4 p.m. to
4:30 to 7:30 p.m.
4:30 to 7:30 p.m.
Ow!
on Saturday,
तुम सब आओ.
March 15th. So, इसी के
You
साथ
said
good
March
night.
15th?
Sorry, my bad. July 15th.
क्या हो गया तेरे को, Faltoni?
मेरे
क्या
को-
हो गया? What happened to you?
Humiliation.
Humiliation होता है. तेरा humility is like humiliation for you. It's okay, Faltoni. Sometimes
Oh
it's,
no.
yeah.
Well, thank you, Banujan. And अगर हमसे कोई गलती हो गई हो तो माफ कर देना.
इसको
Good
माफ कर देना
night.
प्लीज. शब्बा खैर.
And a प्यार
तुझे तो कभी माफी नहीं मिलेगी, आलतू बाबा.
मुझे नहीं
And
चाहिए.
अब प्यार भरा.
मुझे नहीं भी चाहिए. नहीं भी चाहिए मुझे.